Join Coach Ryan as he unveils the insightful Veterinary Hero segment. Stay tuned.
Segment of Athletic Conceptual Training. I hope that you enjoy this wonderful interview and learn lots. Don't forget, like, subscribe so that we can keep this going. Thanks again. Have a good time. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today on the Athletic Conceptual Training podcast, I'm honored to sit down with a powerhouse in veterinary medicine, Dr. Kimberly Carlson. As a skilled veterinary surgeon and founder of Lenity Veterinary Hospital, she embodies precision, compassion, and innovation. This is a conversation for anyone who believes in leadership with heart and purpose. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. So good to see you.
Yes, great to see you. What a wonderful background there.
Yeah, and look, we're matchy too.
Yeah.
Your sweatshirt has my color on.
Yeah. Everything's working out well here. Let's just jump right into the question so we can get to know you. What inspired you to pursue a career in veterinary medicine, and what led you specifically into surgery?
So initially, when I entered my career, I worked for a private hospital for a few years and then moved over to a corporate-owned hospital for 8 years. And the experience, in both realms, there were pros and cons, but what I felt more attracted to was the private ownership setting. And, working on the corporate side, I really felt like just a number on a paycheck. And there wasn't that, that personal connection with the people that were, in charge of where my career was going or, how I managed my day. And I decided after, so many years of beating my head against a wall that I wanted to go back to the private sector. And I decided to open up my own hospital after seeing that so many hospitals, whether privately owned or corporate owned, struggled with similar problems with regard to culture and staffing. And so I very naively opened my own hospital thinking I could do something much different. And it is a lot of work.
Yeah. Was there a defining moment or mentor early on that shaped your path as both a surgeon and business leader?
I would say people that I met throughout my life, not just in veterinary medicine, but, in my first career, I had a completely different career before I went back to school and studied veterinary medicine. And I was in business, and I met people in business that really showed or demonstrated true leadership and compassion and, what we call today is servant leadership.
Yeah.
And that's what I try and embody at Lenity.
How did your vision for Lenity come to life?
Again, it was seeing that so many hospitals struggled with culture, and a lot of them were just so, they were such big hospitals that I think the larger you are, the more employees you have, the easier it is for things to get away from you. And once a bad culture is in place, it is really difficult to get rid of it. And so I wanted to have a hospital that really catered to clients and patients and the employees as well.
Yeah.
And have a different culture, a better place for them to come to work. And when I say naively, it was because I thought that it would be easier than what it's turned out to be, but it's something that you have to be on top of every single day. And all it takes is one person with a poor attitude or work ethic, and it affects the whole team.
Yeah.
And clients pick up on that too. So
they do. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a great point because it's almost like they can feel better than we could even explain in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
once that feeling is there, it's really hard to reverse.
Yeah. Well, there is a quote, and I'm going to screw it up, but there was a quote by Maya Angelou, and I probably didn't say her name correctly, Maya Angelou. There was a quote by her that I'll never forget, and it was that people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I just totally butchered that quote, but you get the idea is that, if you are providing stellar customer service and you are providing value for what people are paying for, they're going to remember how you made them feel when you spoke to them, everything that you did for them. They're going to remember how that made them feel. And that's what's really important to me. And
Yeah,
it's important to me, not just for the clients, but for employees.
I love that. What are some of the most common surgical cases you handled at Lenity?
Oh my gosh. I think, as it is with most surgeons, the number one most common surgery that we see is cruciate ligament injuries.
Yeah, yeah. And how has veterinary surgery evolved since you started? And how do you stay on the cutting edge?
It's evolved, I think, in a couple of ways over the last, 24 years that I've been in practice. And that is that the corporate owned hospitals definitely dominate the playing fields now. And every day there are fewer and fewer privately owned practices. And the other thing is that medicine itself has advanced so much. We have lots of tools and diagnostic equipment available to us now that we can have in our hospital that, 20 some years ago, you could only get by going to a teaching hospital like UC Davis or, another teaching hospital.
Can you share a surgical case that stands out in your memory for its challenge or its reward?
Mm-hmm. The one that stands out the most, first off the top of my head, is not that it was a difficult surgery case, but it was a long, difficult case getting the dog to the point where surgery could finally fix the dog and the dog could go home. And it was a very, very large Great Dane that had suffered severe burn injuries from its neck all the way down between the legs and from side to side, off the sides. And when this dog came into our hospital, it's not Lenity, it was, a hospital that I worked at prior to that. And when that dog came in, that dog had had these burn wounds for about a week or longer, and they were highly resistant to antibiotics. The dog was in a really critical state, requiring blood transfusions and plasma transfusions, and it was a really great example of how different specialists all came together to work on this patient together and get this dog through it and save him. And it was not a great prognosis at the beginning, but the dog was tough, and the pet owner was willing to stick it out. And in the end, her dog went home with her, and once the fur grew back in, you'd never know anything ever happened to this dog.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah, it was a real feel-good case for all of us involved.
Yeah. What are some of the core values that define the culture at Lenity?
Since the beginning, and when I first opened Lenity, I did not know of this style of management, but it's called servant leadership. And it's where you are supporting your staff and helping them to reach their goals. And when you do that, everyone's goals come together. We're all on the same bus together and working towards the same thing. And, it's not a leadership style of, ordering or telling people what to do, or, just automatically firing people. It's actually working with them, getting to know them as best you can, and find out what's important to them, because what's important to one person isn't necessarily important to the other person.
Yeah.
So it's really supporting one another, and especially in this field, with such a high suicide rate and burnout rate, sometimes people just need someone from management to be able to read how they're feeling and be able to tell them, something, go take 20 minutes and, have a break in your car and, get on your cell phone and just chill out and then come back. And I found that people are so appreciative that you take notice of that, because most people won't come and tell you, because they're afraid.
Yeah.
So, being able to read and understand people, I think, is really important, and it's meaningful to them.
That's amazing. And I love that you highlighted that. And it's good to know that we have a privately owned, woman-owned specialty hospital out there that thinks about those things.
Mm-hmm.
As an owner, how do you balance the clinical demands of surgery with the business responsibilities of running a hospital?
Well, I don't. If someone else has perfected that, I would like to hear their answer.
Yeah.
Especially since we opened right before COVID hit. So I feel like it's just been one battle after another that we've been, fighting and struggling with. And, and that demands a lot of my time. And I have 2 kids, and I certainly don't see them as much as I would like to see them. But I'm hoping in the near future that will change. And, I have a great relationship with both my kids. But, if you ask me how well I'm balancing things, I'm not.
Oh. How do you support your team in maintaining mental wellness, especially in a high-stakes medical environment?
So we have an employee assistance program for everyone, and I think that's really helpful. I think all hospitals should have an EAP plan. It's also trying to get people out on time, so they're not getting burned out and working long hours. It's, like I said before, recognizing and being able to read people when they might need a break or when they're stressed or overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And just being there for them, and, not being afraid to take someone aside and say, hey, are you okay? Do you need a little break? Can I order you some food? Get you a drink? Those sorts of things go a long way in helping people feel like they're part of a family, and being supportive.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the second question where you've alluded to thinking about others and really living the servant leadership mentality. It's really refreshing to see.
Yeah. It's hard to do.
Yeah, right.
It's not easy.
Yeah. What advice would you give young veterinarians, especially those aspiring to becoming practice owners?
Be prepared. Do all of your research ahead of time. Have good people advising you. Surround yourself by people who are smarter than you in different aspects of business and team management, and making sure that you are taking time for yourself, and be better than me at that, because there's a price that you pay, and it's a hefty price. And when you're when you're old and, sitting at home and you think back on your life, you're never going to say, gosh, I'm so glad that I worked 14 hours a day and didn't spend time with my partner or my kids or, hanging out with my friends or, developing my hobbies and interests. You have to take that time because it is not mentally healthy to work all the time. And there's no guarantee that you're going to put in 14 hours a day and, there's going to be a big pot of gold at the end of the rainbow or whatever it is, that you consider reward for your hard work. So take time for yourself. This profession is very demanding on people. People, clients, pet owners demand from us things that they wouldn't demand from their own personal doctors. And we give it. We feel so obligated that it is not uncommon for veterinarians to be calling clients after hours or on weekends and following up and checking in on patients. I can tell you I've had surgery and my own personal surgeon hasn't called me to follow up with me afterwards. So we give a lot of ourselves in this profession. And so you need to take that time to, recharge yourself and keep that motivation and passion for what you're doing.
Are there any causes or veterinary initiatives you're passionate about supporting?
Giving back to the community. Definitely. I'm, regularly trying to find ways to do that or come up with ideas on how we can give back to not just the community at large, but our local community, which is really important.
Yeah. What do you hope your legacy will be, both as a surgeon and founder of Lenity?
Just in general, I just hope those who remember me as a kind person.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. What's next for you and Lenity in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh my gosh. So much. I have so many ideas that I haven't been able to follow through with yet. But as we grow, I'm hoping that I will have more time to develop those ideas. We're looking for a new building, a larger building so that we can grow and expand. And I think that's the next big hurdle is a bigger building and then being able to put all of these other ideas that I have in motion. That's
exciting. I can't wait to see them play out.
You would be a great project manager, Ryan. If you're ever looking for, a side gig, I'd be happy to discuss it with you.
I don't know. We'll see about that. If you could leave one message to future veterinary leaders tuning in, what would it be?
Take care of yourself and maintain your passion.
I love
passion that. Will keep you going, but not if you let yourself burn out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, with that, Dr. Kimberly Carlson, thank you for sharing your wisdom and for being an inspiring voice in the veterinary world. Your journey through surgery, ownership, and compassionate leadership will no doubt resonate with so many. Thank you for the work that you do and for being here for our furry friends.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for having me on your podcast. This has been an honor to be on here, and I wish you all the best with your new entrepreneurial adventure.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you ever need anything from me, let me know.
I mean, sounds like a project collaboration coming soon then, huh?
Yeah, and I've got some people to introduce you to as well.
Oh, yeah, excited. All right. Well, thank you. And you have a wonderful day. And thank you for just giving us a peek into Lenity and your many accomplishments and all the good things to come.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. I hope to see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.